Okay, welcome back. We're going to go back out to Tom, who is at, of course, another interesting museum right in the heart of Springfield.
Yeah, Tom, what's going on?
Well, what's going on is I'm getting a lesson in firearms throughout the ages. I'm at Bass Pro Shop. It's the NRA Firearms Museum. I have Pete Ducro, he's the Assistant General Manager here, and he's invited us. First of all, thanks a lot for having us out here.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I'm afraid I gave it kind of short shrift. Give people an idea of what this museum is all about.
So Johnny's a huge supporter of conservation, and with that is the American sportsman. So the Firearm Museum is a piece of history, and it kind of showcases a lot of the firearms from the very first hunters out there to modern day hunters. And with that is a huge timeline. Of course, there's some really unique pieces here, and then different collections that feature like the very first lawmen and different people in history and the firearms that they had and used.
Now, you know, when we were talking a little bit earlier, of course, one interesting thing about this is each of these firearms really has its own story.
So the neat thing about this is each firearm with the serial number, it has a provenance, and they've done, the NRA and others have done the history to know that if this gun says it belonged to a president, it was noted in a court case or a transfer at some point in time, and each one kind of follows that person in history and what they experienced in life. It's pretty cool.
I mean, right behind us, in this case right here, there are a couple of shotguns that belong to a couple of our presidents, as I recall.
So the Grover Cleveland 8-gauge is the only 8-gauge Colt firearm in existence.
That is absolutely one of a kind.
One of a kind. You can see the huge shells that it used, and that thing probably wallops a little bit of a kick to it.
Yeah, I would think so. That was Grover Cleveland's, and this one?
This one was Dwight D. Eisenhower's firearm. He was a huge pheasant and quail hunter. So again, it takes these people from historical figures and puts them in a context that conservation, sportsmen, it's wonderful to have it all pulled together.
Now, of course, you have handguns, you know, have the bigger pieces. You also, I mean, there's a whole place here that you kind of go into the history of Hollywood as well.
That's right. That's one of our most mass appeal areas. We have a Hollywood gun collection. There's firearms like from Quigley Down Under.
Okay, Tom Selleck movie. Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of different firearms. The Lone Survivor, those were used in the shooting of and the production of those movies. So Jack Sparrow's little handgun.
Right.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, these pieces, of course, from all over the world, they all have their own stories. What do you think might be the most surprising thing that people can learn here at the museum?
Well, it's the history that comes with it. Whether it's their grandfather's shotgun and kind of showing it in its original, you know, these are wonderful pieces and artifacts. So it's unmodified. It's really neat. We have, you know, historical pieces like the very first repeating firearm ever made. So it's a lot of history. It's supporting, you know, the sportsmen that have been a part of it. And like I said, there's placards that kind of describe each firearm or the collection. It's good. You can see the whole thing in 30 minutes, but you could really take all day and still get more out of it.
And right behind us, as a matter of fact, you were pointing out a shotgun to me, what, second from the bottom here, right?
So my dad, that's the Remington Model 11. That's the grandfather of all the Remington 1100s that are currently in existence and used by sportsmen everywhere. My dad had one, and we actually killed a turkey with it up in Wisconsin about 8 years ago. We found out that it wasn't represented in this part of the timeline. We went to the NRA, asked if they were interested, and now it's part of the museum for now.
So you're going to see firearms that are private firearms, military firearms as well?
So there's many of these are on loan from either collectors or individuals, and then some are part of the NRA's collection itself. But yeah, it's a great assortment of firearms for anyone that's just trying to learn more about them or see them from history.
And just in this museum, you have a little over 1,000 firearms.
That's correct, we sure do.
All right, we're going to come back in just a little bit and take a look at some of the historic pieces that they have to offer you right here at the Firearms Museum at Bass Pro Shops. We'll be back in a little bit. Back to you.
I look forward to it. Very interesting. I'll be the first to say I did not know that was there.
Yeah, I feel like we've learned a lot already, so I'm excited for the next segment as well.
Something new every
Yeah,
day. All right, up
absolutely.
next, it's one of the prime